Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the football podcast. Everybody's here, and we're talking football, which is convenient. We've got quite a few games to go through from last week. There was 5 games, I think. Less games to go through for this week. But yes, plenty of football going on. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave us a review. Ideally, 5-star, but, 5-star, yeah. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Yes, it's that unmistakable sound, ladies and gentlemen. The good lady is indeed correct. Oh, am I allowed to say that anymore? I don't know, she might. I don't know. Yes, welcome along. It is your weekly fix of football-based nonsense from a Middlesbrough, Hull and Nottingham Forest perspective. I'm joined, as always, by the leader of the CookieCast podcast network, Mr. Andrew Cook. How are you, sir?
Well, thank you.
A little cold there?
Yeah.
Excellent. We persevere. We try our hardest on this podcast to bring you the content you need, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by our Nottingham Forest correspondent, Mr. Matthew Moore. How are you, sir?
Good. Yeah, good.
No cold there. Excellent. And finally, rounding out the magnificent quad. I can't think of what the phrase will be. Quadrant? No, that's definitely wrong. 4-piece, making our fatal four-way is indeed Hull City's finest. Stuart Woodmansey, how are you, sir?
I'm with Andy this week. I am keeping up the cold contingent, so it's 50% snot base this week. Is the there's your tagline, Andy.
Which is impressive, as it's normally me that's got something wrong with my face. So it's strange to be in the minority. So yes, we opened with last week's games, and we started with a game that took place in the Premier League, in the capital no less, where Tottenham Hotspur took on Nottingham Forest. How did this one shake down Mr. Moore?
How did it shake down? It shook down, I think, as the majority of the podcast predicted. I think it's one of those games where you didn't expect much from it, and didn't get a whole lot from it either. Apart from further evidence that Ryan Yates might be the player that makes the team tick, which is not something you like. Again, we said it last week. I said it again this week. It's not something you would have said in August, July. When did the season start? It feels like ages ago. So yeah, got off to a bad start. Harry Kane scored early. Yeah, got a second from a penalty, I think. I want to say a penalty here. I feel like one of them was a penalty. Son got the third one. Late consolation on about 86 minutes. Joe Worrell's getting one for Forest. They did get a penalty in added time, only for, considering he was signed after the deadline day on a free because he didn't have a club, Andre Ayew, who seems to be getting way too much time in the team. I don't know. I think he played for Cooper at Swansea, and there just seems to be too much of a love-in with him. I wish he wasn't playing, to be honest. Whenever I've seen him come on, he just runs around. Doesn't seem to really create a whole lot. Gets everybody really, really crossed. I mean, the Forest. If anybody does have some spare time, please go onto any of the Forest social media sites. It's hilarious. It's either the usual Forest fans going absolutely nuts about strange decisions. But then since we've signed 3 Brazilians since January, a shit ton of Brazilian fans going mad as to why Forest aren't playing the Brazil players and will deserve to go down if any of them are not playing. So yeah, that's if you want a nice like kind of half an hour to waste, just read comments, translate them from Portuguese, and just have yourself a good old laugh at the fact that also Scarpa translated from Portuguese is the shoe. So that's always an excellent kind of thing. But yes, 3-1 loss. Oh yeah, and then to compound things, Brennan Johnson got injured. And Steve Cooper is playing his usual game of he might be playing, but he might not be. Ooh, I don't know. Let's keep everybody on their toes now. So yeah, there's that as well.
You gotta love it.
I feel like we're not that often going to a press conference in the build up to the next game. 3 cups and a picture of the fit striker in the middle one, and then him just going, "Where is the fit striker this week?"
Well, it's basically the Steve Cooper's adopted the approach of the questionable designation from the ESPN fantasy app that we all love and really find helpful.
Game time call is the usual kind of note that's next to it.
So, from a predictions perspective, Andy, of course, had gone for a 2-0 Nottingham Forest win with Johnson and Gibbs-White to score, so sadly he gets himself 0 points. Mr. Woodmansey had just gone for a 2-1 Spurs win, so he gets himself a point for the result. However, he had Johnson to score for Nottingham Forest, so he doesn't get himself any bonus points there. But he did have a point each for a goal from Kane and from Son, so he gets himself 3 points from that one game. Me and Mr. Modo, we must have had the old crystal ball out. Must have seen something in the offing, as we'd both taken a 3-1 Spurs victory. We had both also taken Kane to score 2 and Son to get 1. So we get 2 points for the correct score, 3 points for the scorers. Sadly, neither of us picked Worrell to score for Nottingham Forest because, let's be honest, why would we?
Why would we? I mean, I'd gone out there with Serge Aurier, so I was like...
I mean, you were in the right area of the pitch at least. I'd gone for Chris Wood, and it could literally be the time it takes for a tree to grow until that guy comes good. So yes, myself and Matt had 5 points each from that one game. Stu with 3, Andy yet to get off the mark after the first game. The second game of the week took place in the West Midlands, where Coventry City took on Hull City. Now, how did this one play out, Mr. Woodmansey?
Well, the final score was Coventry 1, Hull City 1. Nothing really much happened in the first half. Another good Caldello performance. Oscar's 4th goal against Coventry this season. So Estepinian scored on 50 minutes. It was good. Made himself a little bit of space after a knockdown and Dobbins. So, yeah, good looking goal. Godden scored on 71 minutes for Coventry to even it up. And by absolute contrast, it was a scuff that hit shin into the ground and between the keeper's legs. So it was a bit of a messy equaliser, but counted nonetheless. The downside is that Oscar was only on the pitch because Tete, after his first goal for the club last week, pulled his hamstring in the first half this time. So, unfortunately, Tete is now out for about 6 weeks minimum. But yeah, on the road. Could be worse. We didn't lose. So, for another time.
So, sorry, not to put too fine a point in it, but did you just technically say Tete's out there?
It's a good time for everybody, apart from Hull City.
I mean,
Tetes are out of action, which is,
it's a harsh reality that we all have to face at some point in our existence. So, this you might start to see a pattern emerging here, ladies and gentlemen. Predictions wise, Andy had gone for a 2-0 away win. He had Tete to score. Sadly, that won't be happening potentially for the rest of the season. But he did have Estepinian to score. So bagged himself a little bonus point right there. Mr. Moore had gone for a 2-1 Coventry win with Gyökeres to get both of the goals for Coventry and Tete to score for Hull. So double disheartenment for Mr. Moore there. No points. And the guy he picked to score, probably done for the season. Again, some of us got this one spot on. Myself and Mr. Woodmansey peeked into the crystal ball and picked a 1-1 draw on this one. So bag ourselves 2 points for the correct result. Sadly, that is where our picking ability ended, as we both had Gyökeres to score for Coventry. I had Tete to score for Hull. Mr. Woodmansey had Doherty to score for Hull. So sadly, no points extra for goal scorers there. So 2 points for me, 2 points for Stu, no points for Matt, 1 point for Andy. We move on to our third game of the week, and it's another one of these anomalies where, even though it's the English Football League, we have a game that took place in Wales, in Swansea, no less, where Swansea City took on my team, Middlesbrough. This one started in a sort of a similar vein to a couple of games under Michael Carrick, sadly for Middlesbrough. Started slow, were punished early on for that slow, sluggish start when a shot came across the box, ricocheted off one of the defenders, fell nicely into the path of Joel Pirot, who managed to sneak the ball into the net to give Swansea a 1-0 lead at the start of this one. Stayed that way until half time. Just into the second half, Borough turned on the gas, decided to start playing in the game, and Aaron Ramsey picked up the ball, had a run at the back line of the Swansea team. Got a bit lucky with the break of the ball, but managed to keep it under his spell, and then managed to find a shot across the keeper that managed to find the side netting. Good finish. The second goal looked like it potentially could have been ruled out for offside, but on a replay, I think the lines were ran pretty well by Cameron Archer, who latched onto a looping ball over the top just to head past the Swansea goalkeeper for 2-1. And then just to round out the game, Riley McGree was, I want to say, clumsily fouled in the box. It was one of the worst tackle attempts I've ever seen from a footballer, from Latter Baudier, bringing down Riley McGree, and up steps everyone's favourite championship top scorer. That's right, Tubes at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Took the penalty away for his 22nd goal of the season, and put the lovely finishing touches, the cream on top of the sponge, if you will, for a lovely 3-1 Middlesbrough win. I know what you're all thinking. It was Swansea, therefore everyone must surely have been thinking it's got to be a guaranteed away win. And that is what everyone thought of the predictions, as both Stu and Andy had gone for 2-0 with Archer and Akpom to score the goals. So managed to get themselves 3 points apiece there. Myself and Mr. Moore had gone for 1-2. So we'd given Swansea a goal, even though no Swansea supporters were in the room, so we didn't even need to give them a goal. But we did anyway. We both had gone for Pirro to score for Swansea, so get ourselves a little bonus point there. I had taken McGree and Ramsey to score, so sadly don't even get the half point for the penalty, so technically had the assist. We don't count those on the podcast. Whereas Mr. Moore had gone for Akpom and Archer to get the 2 goals, so he gets himself 2 bonus points there. So for that particular game, lots of points for that one. Myself, Stuart and Andy, 3 points. Mr. Moore, 4 points for that game. Lovely. 2 games left to go through, and the first of which was my team again, Middlesbrough, taking on Stoke City. This one was live on the old Sky Telebox, and was Middlesbrough's chance to really sort of cement the attack on Sheffield United in second place, as Sheffield United dropped points on Saturday, losing at home to Luton, whilst we were picking up those valuable 3 points against Swansea. So they knew that if they won, they would close the gap to Sheffield United to 3 points. To 1 point. With them still to play this week. And the game opened in a very positive manner. Stuart got the goal. It was another break by Ryan McGree. Got the ball on the right side of the box, cut the ball back, and Tubes just slammed the ball home for the opening goal. Interesting stat. It had been brought up at the weekend that the next goal that was scored by Middlesbrough at the Riverside would be the 1,000th goal scored at the stadium since it opened in 1995. So Shubrakpom puts himself in the history books there twice in the same season. He was the first Middlesbrough striker to get more than 20 goals in a league campaign since 1989. And the owner of the 1,000th goal in the Middlesbrough shirt at the Riverside. Sadly, they weren't able to hold that advantage through till half-time, as Keegan Hoover, on what could be described as the hot streak of a lifetime, managed to increase his career tally to 3 goals, considering that he got 2 in his last outing against Blackburn on Friday night of the week before. Poor defending from Ryan Giles, let the ball bounce over him. Wasn't able to get back in to track Hoover. And then poor goalkeeping from Zach Steffen allowed the ball to go kind of underneath him, through him. Not the best goalkeeping. And from there, Middlesbrough really weren't in the game, to be honest with you. So probably should have taken the squad again and taken all 3 points. Thankfully, they didn't. But there was 2 really good saves from Zach Steffen making up for the goal that he let in, which was obviously a positive for him. But sadly, Borough weren't able to capitalise on that, the fact that Sheffield United was still to play. So they only cut the gap to second place to 3 points as opposed to 1. So, from a predictions perspective, a lot of positivity in this one. Sadly, 3 of us were incorrect. That was indeed myself, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Cook, who had all taken home wins. Myself 1-0 with Akpom, so I was very close. I say very close, a half away from getting a correct score, so not that close at all. 1-0 Akpom, so I get myself a bonus point for the goal scorer. Matt had taken 2-1 with Akpom, Ramsey, and Gale to score for Stoke. So he gets himself a point for the Akpom goal. Mr. Cook had taken 2-0 Middlesbrough, but also taken Force and Archer to score the goals. Bit of a worrying stat, but obviously Archer's goals are all coming away from home. So I think it might be that sort of thing where he just needs a goal at home to sort of like the old blue touch paper, so he's like, off the mark. See how he gets on. Mr. Woodmansey, however, had gone for a 2-2 draw on this one. So manages to get himself a point for the result, not to score. He also had Akpom to score for the Borough, along with McGree, and then Gale and Smallbone to score for Stoke City. So he gets himself 2 points for that one. Our final game of the week took place in the location that Mr. Woodmansey happens to find himself currently, and that was Hull City versus Burnley. Now, not to pull back the curtain or anything, this game may or may not have just finished within the last 10 to 15 seconds. How has it gone, Mr. Woodmansey?
Probably is the answer to that question.
Hawley would be the
final score was Hull City 1, Burnley 3 was the score. Hull looked pretty good for the first 25 minutes. Burnley didn't really know what to do them. And they worked it out, and then we were pretty much screwed. Pressure was building towards half time. A long ball came out to the right wing for Burnley. Callum Elder went to jump to header it. Teller decided to kick him as he jumped to the ball and got away with it. Ball falls through to Teller. He goes and whacks it in the bottom right hand corner. Carl Dalla had absolutely no chance for 1-0. It was that way until half time, and then basically, except for Burnley just scored more. It didn't matter. Teller actually completed his hat trick on 50 minutes and then 73 minutes. And the last kick of the game, Ozan Tufan, man signed with so much promise and seemingly it so much food. Has not really done a lot of football. Did some football. So there's a technical description for you all. Yeah, he scored with pretty much the last kick of the game. It might be his first goal since that goal against Bradford. It's been a while. But yeah. Hull.
So, not the perfect result. I did hear during the commentary during the game actually. It did say that Hull had been on a pretty decent run, and I believe that was their first loss at home in 8.
Yeah.
In the previous 7.
In the last 16 games, they've lost 4, so haven't won technically the other 75% of the games, but still, for a team that are now solidly mid-table, it's not the worst ever. There's been a building blocks are in place, which I think is the point of this season. So you can't do much.
Yeah, I think it's always that thing, obviously no one ever wants to see their team lose, but there's certain games where you kind of just, I don't even want to say just like take a loss, but there's certain games where you feel that if you can get a point out of it, it's a positive point. I think this would definitely fall in that category. You're playing a team that's top of the league, they've lost, 2 or 3 games all season. They're pretty much romping into the title. They'll be at least 15 points clear of Borough in 3rd now, I think. So you're talking with less than 10 games to go. In theory, if the games go their way, they could have automatic promotion wrapped up in the next 4 games, potentially.
Well, if Burnley could get their accountant to do the league, maybe they'd be 65 points clear at this point.
They're not far off the 65. They're 19 points clear of Middlesbrough in 3rd.
19?
Yeah.
So there's only 27 points left to play for.
So they've got 9 games.
So that's within the next 4 games, they could be up, essentially. Borough do have to play Burnley, but at this point, Borough aren't looking at Burnley. They're looking at Sheffield United in like a sort of a things they could catch situation. So, I mean, from Hull, obviously, they only need another sort of 5 or 6 points to get them to 50, I think. And then you'd imagine they'd probably be safe. I think at one point there was maybe an argument they could have a late push to the playoffs, but that seems to sort of have been killed off with that result tonight. Only picked up a point at the weekend, so you imagine they can just play for next season at this point. From a predictions perspective, Captain Positivity for the week, Mr. Cook, had gone for a 1-0 home win with Longman to score the goal. Sadly, no points there. The rest of us had gone for Burnley wins. I went 2-1 to Burnley with Estepinian to score for Hull, Cullen and Teller to score for Burnley. So I do manage to get a bonus point there for the goal scorer, so 2 points for myself. Mr. Woodmansey had gone for 3-0 Burnley, so almost saw this one on the cards. He'd gone for a goal each from Cullen, Barnes and Teller, so manages to get himself a bonus little point there. So that's 2 points for Mr. Woodmansey. He's at it again, though. So it's the second game of the week that he's predicted spot on, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, Mr. Moore, going for a 1-3. Estepinian to score for Hull, sadly no points there. Obafemi, Zaruri and Teller to score for Burnley. So does get himself a bonus point as well for goal scorer. So 3 points there for Mr. Moore. So all that does, weekly points, is Andrew, not his best week, 4 points, but it's still points on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Woodmansey can find himself unlucky to have finished in 3rd and have scored 12 points for the week, which is outrageous. Even more outrageous is the fact that we have a joint 1st place for the week, in that me and Mr. Moore both bagged 13 points for the week. So unfortunately, it's that result that the Americans hate. It is a tie, but it's 13 points. So let's be honest, it's more than we could have ever dreamed of. But you know, a couple of correct score lines in there for both of us. A very positive week from a predictions perspective. So that brings us on to the week in hand, which is week 31 of the prediction season. And we start on a Friday night with a live fixture in the Premier League, where Nottingham Forest, in a reverse of the opening game of the season, take on Newcastle United. This obviously is Mr. Moore's team, therefore he will give his prediction last. I do have my prediction written down here, but I'm not going to give mine first. Instead, I'm going to go to Mr. Andrew Cook for a positive start.
Positive as ever. 2-0 for Forest. There's been some controversy at Cook Towers this evening as a collection of people who will remain nameless decided to inform me that all of my goal-scoring picks were injured for the week. So I've had to scramble, and I've ended up with Surridge and Gibbs White.
Interesting. I'll jump in now. I've gone 1-1. Forest have a decent home record. Newcastle are kind of in a bit of a slump at the minute. I know they won at the weekend against Wolves, but who don't beat Wolves, let's be honest. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw, and obviously old boy rule fully in effect. It's a kind of take your pick, this one, because there's loads of them swimming around in the Forest team. But I have gone for Wood to score for Forest. I've also gone for Isak to score for Newcastle. Mr. Woodmansey, what have you got down for this one?
I also have a 1-1 draw. I also have Wood. And
Sorry, what about your prediction?
as last week I picked Small. Since I picked Small Stoke, I figured I had to go the opposite and pick Longstaff for Newcastle. So
I mean, that joke would work so much better if, he was decent, I guess. But very nice of you to tell us that you've
but we should know.
got Wood. Anyway, Mr. Moore, how will this one pan out? You seem to be shaking your head and feeling a little bit down about this one, dare I say?
It's like a perfect storm, isn't it? It's like Forest are good at home. Forest are good at home. I always dread, not that it happens very often, living up here when Forest play Newcastle, and doing the job that I have always leads to smart Alex telling me how terrible my team is because they dared to watch their team once every so often, just so they could take the mickey out of me. So on top of that, there was a stat that I saw today that Forest have never beaten Newcastle in the Premier League, which is one of those ones that is like, yeah, but how many games have we actually played against them in the Premier League? Because it's been a long old while since we've been there. So, but it's like 9. Newcastle got 9 wins and it's 3 draws or 2 draws or something like that. That's a long way of me. And then I couldn't quite work out what Chris Wood's what's the deal with Chris Woods as well, though, because it was obviously initially a loan, but then it's turned into a permanent deal. So I'm not quite sure.
I didn't think about that.
What the stipulations of that is. If it's turned permanent, then he should be allowed to play. But if it's still a loan agreement till the end of the season, then he can't. But I've not seen any mention of him not being allowed to play or him not. But that was just ramblings of somebody desperately kind of avoiding the fact that they predicted Newcastle to win 2-1 against Forest. I think a home loss is coming sooner rather than later, and maybe it's going to be this one.
Goal scorers?
Morgan Gibbs-White for Forest, and Almiron and Willock for Newcastle.
Very nice. Before we move on, I'm just going to have a quick check to see if he is eligible to play. Let's have a look. Let's go for the old Forest website, shall we? See if it says anything on there. Cooper, we've got to give everything. No shit.
Did I see something that Steve Cooper's been questioned about another job prospect?
He's been linked to the Spurs.
That's what I saw as we started recording.
Thing, but then he was asked this about a week ago, and he gave a very definite answer of no, I don't want to leave, kind of thing, and not like the woolly kind of hark back to this kind of like about a year ago, or however long ago, like when Wilder was asked about Burnley, he gave a really woolly answer about kind of it's always nice to be linked to. And Steve Cooper was just like, no, I like being at this club. They really welcome me. They welcome my family. I want to stay here for as long as I possibly can, kind of thing. And if the Spuds did come and ask if permission to come for him, they'll even his head might be turned. But I don't know. I don't think he's a Spurs manager.
I have an answer for you, Paul.
Yes, I've also just found this.
So it's not going to happen.
The head coach also confirmed that Chris Wood will be missing due to the injury he also picked up against Spurs. Right, so I feel that's only right then that myself and Mr. Woodmansey get to pick again.
Not only that, but the loan thing is still in effect because whilst the permanent deal has been triggered, that doesn't become active until next season. So even if he wasn't injured, he wouldn't be playing. So in that regard, put Gibbs White down for me.
I'm going to put down, even though he missed the penalty at the weekend, probably won't get anywhere near the game, I'm going to go for Dennis. No idea why. Probably won't happen. Everyone will be sorry that they voted his name. Our next game of the weekend sees Middlesbrough take on Preston North End in a reverse of Michael Carrick's first game in charge. Obviously, this is my team, so I will go last. So let's go to Stu for your prediction for this one.
I will go with the classic Borough scoreline for this season and go with 3-1.
Interesting. Goal scorer?
For Preston, Robert Brady, former Hull player who used to be called Robbie, but seemingly prefers his Sunday name these days. And I've gone for Akpom for 1 and get that touch paper out because I've gone for Archer for 2.
2? Wow, interesting. Mr. Moore?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Goal scorers?
I mean, the Borough one's pretty obvious. I've gone for Stuart.
Definitely convinced them all. The Borough was going to be obvious. They were going to give, like, Ryan Giles or something like that.
Stefan.
Thierry?
Cannon.
Mr. Cook?
Just a standard 2-0 to the Borough for me. I've decided to choose the week off, so it'll be Fours and Archer.
Fours and Archer. Interesting. So, just me left to predict. And I have agreed with one of you. I have also gone for Middlesbrough's favourite scorer at the moment, 3-1. He'll have the boys ramped up after dropping points against Stoke in their previous game, and the fact that Sheffield United have beaten Sunderland this week to extend their lead over third place to 6 points, which is annoying, as Sunderland can't do anything right, those stupid twats. So I've gone for Akpom, Archer, and McGree to score, forgetting, of course, that Archer does fall into the old boy category, as he had a loan spell at Preston last season. I had always forgotten that. And I agree with Matt, and I had also gone for Cannon to score for Preston. That leaves us with one game left to predict for the week, and it sees Reading take on Hull City. Now, obviously, it's Mr. Woodmansey's team, so we'll come to him last. I'll ask him a little side question for whilst he's waiting to give his prediction. And that side question is this, Mr. Woodmansey. Which team member of Hull will the stadium announcer decide to pronounce completely incorrectly this time, as the last time I believe you were in person for that game. Apparently you found out that Craig Fagan was playing for you at some point.
It was the one that always got me was back in the day when it was on FIFA, and we had an absolute unit of a guy up front called Delroy Facey. So that's a blast from the past for any City fans listening. But they couldn't really grasp the fact that it was spelled Facey and pronounced Facey. They must have looked at the list and thought, this guy's got a bit of continental flair about him. So every time that you played the game as Hull City, and took a shot. The commentator went, "Fuck her!" Which sounds great in an audio form.
Lovely stuff. I've gone for Hull to bounce back from their defeat to Burnley this week with a 2-1 away win. Reading are in all sorts of trouble at the moment. And I think that Hull will add to that particular pain, shall we say. Old boy rule, definitely in effect. So I've gone for Ince to score for Reading. Then I've gone for Estupiñán and Traore to score for Hull. Mr. Cook, what have you got for this one?
I got to the point where I felt like I was doing too many 2-0 predictions and just picking home side players. So I mix up with a 1-2. Reading 1, Hull 2.
Same with me. Goal scorer?
Carroll. For Reading. Estupiñán for Hull. And I had to pull my titties out within being in and go with the classic Longman.
Long man in the book. Interesting on your Carroll pick. I didn't see at the weekend that he was in a bit of a ding dong with the defender of, I believe, Millwall, who's ready to play at the weekend. And obviously, he's getting a bit elbowy in his footy. So the Millwall guy, instead of just shrinking like some defenders would, decided to wait for the next play and then they just absolutely clatter him in the face back. And then continue to do that for the rest of the game. So, well played. I want to say Charlie Cresswell. I don't know if it was you, but at some point Andy Carroll got at least 2 or 3 elbows in the face. So, for me. Mr. Moore, what have you got for this one?
I've gone for 0-1 Hull.
Nil Eins. Goal scorers. Well, I say goal scorers. Your goal scorer.
I'm going for Old Oscar.
Old Oscar. Old Butch Oscar. Go on then, Stu. How's it going to pan out?
I know what you're thinking. It's the last prediction of the podcast. So, in for the big finish, yeah? 0-0.
Called it. Any particular reason?
Yeah, because they've just had their pants pulled down by Burnley and Reading are crap.
I'm the optimist. You've got to love it. You've got to love it. It's not a confidence you come back.
Before we move towards the wrap-up, I did want to ask, do you know who was the first team Middlesbrough beat 3-1 this season, and how many games have finished 3-1 to Borough this year?
Was it under Carrick?
I don't know when he started, so I can't tell you.
His first game was the Preston game.
Rough day. Because they're playing Preston this week.
October?
Then yes, it will have been.
Before then?
No, it would have been under Carrick, because it wasn't until November.
I know they've beaten, I think they've beaten Wigan, but I think that was 4-1 or 4-0 both times. So I will guess at Blackpool away.
Just having a little flick through from what I saw, the first time Middlesbrough won 3-1 this season was away at Hull City.
I was there.
And how many times have they won by that scoreline this season?
It's like 4 or 5, I think.
6. So that's just an insane amount of games to finish the same score.
And so there's 6 of those, and then you factor in the fact that they've had 2 4-0s or 4-1s against Wigan. So yeah. exciting times. And I'm pretty sure.
I mean, the stats don't lie. If it wasn't for Burnley and Sheffield United, you'd be tops.
Yeah, exactly. Just take those two shit-out things out, and we're and they beat Reading 5-0 the other week. So it's all looking rosy at the minute for Borough. That'll all come crashing down to earth when someone comes in the summer and poaches Carrick off us. So that'll be fun. But until then, we can all live in hope and eternal optimism. So there you go.
Quizzes. We'll do another one. Who was the first person? Who scored the first goal at the Riverside?
It was Craig Hignett.
Good.
In a 2-0 win against Chelsea. I remember quite funny at the time in the fact that my dad was incredibly pissed off at the fact that the Riverside Stadium obviously only just been opened that summer. And in the weeks leading up to the game, there was talk of they might have to postpone it or shift it back or something like that, as they couldn't get a safety certificate for the ground. And then he was like, and then my dad had great joy in sort of like laughing at the fact that classic Cleveland Council, Middlesbrough City Council, Middlesbrough Town Council, supplying safety certificates to Middlesbrough when they've probably got a bloody hole in the ground or something like that, whereas Poole can't get one for love nor money. But obviously they got the safety certificate probably through absolutely 100% legitimate means. The game went ahead.
That sounds much like football to me. Perfectly legitimate all the time.
Yes, that is all I have to bring to the table. Is there anything anyone else would like to bring up? I'll take that as a no. In that case, all that's left for me to do is to thank these three lovely gentlemen for joining me once again to discuss the week's happenings, shenanigans, and whatnot in the football world, mainly in the Premier League and the Championship. Join us again next week where we'll break it all down and we'll go through it all again for you lovely, lovely people. Until then, keep yourself safe and we'll see you next week. Ta-ta for now.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Plenty of football going on. Before you leave us, if you're not already subscribed, you could just click that button and that's it. Done. You're a subscriber. Amazing. Also, please think about like, share, leave us a review. Drop us a little review. 5 stars, obviously. You can check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.